This is my fully planted low-tech Rainbowfish Aquarium, and today I'm going to go through what I do daily, weekly and monthly to keep it looking so great. Hi, I'm Russ and I've been in the aquarium hobby for well over 30 years. I'm frequently asked, how do I keep my plants looking so great? Which obviously relieves stress for your fish. So I've decided to make a video to show what I do, what processes I carry out to keep it looking so great. So my lights are a Fluval Plant Light 3. I have the Fluval Plant Light 3 on 3 of my 4 aquariums. And I love it. It's a highlight. They come on via a timer, so each tank light comes on at the same time and goes on and off at the same time. And that's kind of how I want it. All my aquariums are in my lounge, so that's a great thing for me to have. So with highlight, the plants will grow faster. So on a daily process, I feed the plants in 3 of 4 of my tanks. I say 3 of 4 because I have a CO2 tank running, which I've never shown on YouTube, and I use a different fertilizer on that, and that recommends that as to be done, or to use that as every other day. So that's a different story anyway. So I use a fertilizer called Neutro Plus, which I buy online from a company called Aqua Essentials. It's not at any point, this is not a promotional video, that's just the product I use, and that's the products that I have success with. So that recommends a daily dosage of food. So in the morning, before I leave for work, before the lights come on, I dose each of my tanks with Neutro Plus. And that is kind of what I do on a daily process. Obviously, when I come home from work, I'm keeping an eye out on the plants. If the plants are growing too big, I will give them a little bit of a trim. I do have to keep an eye on the lotus tiger lily, because if any of those leaves get to the surface, then it will lose its bushiness and it'll become more of like a surface plant, if you will. I also then keep an eye out for any leaves that come off the plants and end up floating around, or any detritus that's lying on the base of the aquarium, and I get that out as well to stop any rotting, just so it doesn't affect with your water conditions. I then put aside 1 day of the week to do my majority of my aquarium maintenance. So to start off with, I use a razor scraper, and I'll take off any algae on the front of my aquarium and onto this side. I don't bother with that side, and I don't do the back. I just let algae grow on that. It's great for your plecos, your ottos, etc. So then I will go around every plant individually and trim off any dead leaves that are in there on the Java fern. As I say, the lotus tiger, any leaves that are coming up to the surface, I will try and get them trimmed off, because I don't want to lose the bushiness of the lotus tiger lily. I then look at the anubias. It's quite anubias heavy, this tank. So any leaves that are turning yellow, I'll trim them off straight away and get rid of all that. I have Amazon swords in there. Any leaves that are starting showing that they're kind of fading away a little bit, get them trimmed off as near to the base as possible. And then I will put my fingers into the Java fern and I'll just give it a bit of a shake up, if you will, just to get any fish poop out into the water column. Once I've done the trimming, I'll remove any of the leaves that I've trimmed, get rid of those, checking those leaves obviously for snails, etc., fish eggs. Hopefully I noticed the fish eggs before I trim them off anyway. And then I do a 50% water change on this aquarium. 50% is heavy for a majority of aquariums, but rainbow fish do prefer a large water change. So I do 40 to 50% weekly. I will then, as the water's being extracted, I will clean off my pre-filter, which goes into my canister filter. Give that a clean out into the tank water that I'm extracting. And like I say, I drop it to about 40 to 50% of the water. In the summer, I will then add water back through the hose pipe that I use as a siphon. And I will treat that water with dechlorinator, and I will also then fertilize the water. Now, in the winter, it's a little bit of a different method, really. Well, it's not a different method, it's just a lot slower. Obviously, the water's a lot colder, so I don't want to shock any of the fish. So the water is put back into the aquarium at a lot slower rate. I tend to do it over that side, so the water can be then pumped into the filter and it's jetted around. It just seems to regulate the heat a little bit better. And that's kind of what I do on a weekly basis. When the water is dropped, I do keep an eye on the water that's coming out of my canister filter. If that seems to have dropped, then I will clean the canister filter. But that tends to be more of a once a month job. Canister filters kind of take care of themselves, really, when you have a pre-filter on there. Clean the pre-filter weekly, as I say. That's great. You're not going to get massive amounts of dead leaves, etc. going into your canister filter. So once a month, I just disconnect the canister filter, clean out all the cartridges in there, in the water that I've extracted from the aquarium, and I get it all up and running. On the monthly one, when I've done the filter, what I do, I kind of do that before I do the water change. So once it's been cleaned and I turn it back on, you always seem to get a little bit of dirt shoved right back into your water. So that's kind of on the monthly is when I do the water change to try and extract some of that water out as much as possible. Now, you never over clean your canister filters because obviously you don't want to lose the biological filtration side of your canister filter. And that is what I do on a daily, weekly and monthly basis to keep this aquarium looking as good as what it does. If anybody's got any questions, if there's anything I haven't covered, I think I have covered everything. But if there's anything I haven't covered or anyone's got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me in the comments. And I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope you've picked something up off what I've said today. And if so, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel, as a subscription does help out loads. The channel is growing and let's get it continuing to grow. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you. See you soon.